you should know that the American Heart Association today is recommending no more than 5 to 6% of the calories to be from saturated fat. And I think they're correct. They're better than a lot of other organizations. They're really trying to help to lower the heart attack rate in the United States. So they're stricter than some of the others. Now, you need to understand where that saturated fat is coming from. Now, look at the chart here. Beautiful colored chart. The red is the saturated fat. Now, what has the most saturated fat of any food we know? It's the coconut oil. And they're selling that as a health food. They'll say it lowers weight if you're overweight. That handles your thyroid problems if you have thyroid problem. It doesn't do either. It's not that valuable. But it does have a lot of saturated fat. Now, Gary Fraser, researcher from New Zealand, he tells me that in the islands where they're using lots of coconuts, there's more heart disease than in the islands where they aren't using so much coconut. So the evidence is against the coconut as far as the heart disease is concerned. Now, the next thing just above the coconut oil is butter. The American Heart Association recommends don't use butter. It's high in the cholesterol, saturated fat. We shouldn't be using butter. Now, in our country, we have too much milk. We have about half as many cows as we used to have, and we're producing twice as much milk as we used to use. We don't know what to do with all the milk. So we turn it into cheese. We have storehouses of cheese. Not enough people to eat all the pizza. So what are we going to do about the cheese? Well, somebody thought up a good idea. Let's have a national school lunch program. We'll give it to the kids free. Give them all these free lunches. Let them eat the cheese. Not for the health of the children, but for the financial health of the farmer. We got to get rid of this cheese. Okay? So if you're over 2 years of age, the recommendation is don't drink whole milk. There's butterfat in that milk. So don't drink whole milk. If you're going to use milk at all, it should be non-fat or not more than 1% fat. That's the Heart Association recommendations. Okay? Now, just above the butter is palm oil. Palm oil is growing up. They grow this palm stuff over in Malaysia. Ship it to Czech Republic, and you'll see it on some of your food labels. Okay? And above that is lard. That's a big problem. Lard has lots of saturated fat. Just above that is this cottonseed oil. You don't have it here. We have it in the U.S. But those bottom 5 red line things have to do with saturated fat. That's what you got to do to cut down on the saturated fat. Now, just above that, the fats can be used. The one just above is peanut oil. If you eat peanut butter on your toast every morning for breakfast, you will cut down your heart attack risk about 25%. So from there on is good. Now look at the very top oil there that has the least saturated fat. That's rapeseed oil, Canada oil, canola. That's a good oil because it has very little saturated fat. Now, you need to know what that yellow line represents. That represents a monounsaturated fat. That means oleic acid. That's what's in olive oil. That's the Mediterranean diet we're talking about. That is excellent at lowering blood cholesterol. Peanut oil has quite a bit. Olive oil has quite a bit. But what you have that is really good is avocado. That's the main fat in avocado. That's why avocado is so good for you. Okay? Now you need to know what the green and blue lines represent. Those represent essential fatty acids. By essential, I mean you have to have it in your diet because your body can't make them. And by essential, you have to have it to live. It's kind of like a vitamin. You have to have it to live. Okay? So the blue is easily obtained. It's in a lot of oils. That's an omega-6. It's linoleic acid. It does so good at lowering the blood cholesterol that the recommendation is to get 5 to 10% of our calories from that fatty acid. It's such a good fat. Now, the green line, we don't need very much. We just need a little. But it's excellent at lowering your blood cholesterol. And the one food that has the most is flaxseed. But a lot of foods don't have this in. But flaxseed is excellent. But the seed will go right through you unless you grind it up. And then you can get the oil. The chia seed is high in this. So a lot of foods have this. You should know. Over here, walnuts are pretty good in this. So the main thing you should learn here is that you should lower the saturated fat completely. Get rid of all of the thing you can. You should also know it's in the chocolate bar. 100-gram dark chocolate somebody gave me. Healthful chocolate, more antioxidants. In that 100 grams, there was 35 grams of saturated fat. How is the company able to sell this? Oh, they say there's not much saturated fat per bite. Oh, yeah, you have that chocolate bar in front of your mouth. You take one bite, then you put the chocolate bar aside, and next day you have the next bite. Does anybody do that? No, they eat the whole chocolate bar at one time. They're getting all that saturated fat at one time. So it's the animal fat, it's the butter, it's the milk, it's the cheese that are problems, it's the chocolate fat, and the croissants. They put a lot of butter fat into the croissants. So those are the foods you have to avoid. Mostly animal products plus chocolate fat is what you have to really cut out.